Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to make sure that you are not skipping the ongoing tournament inside Raid Shadow Legends. And a few caveats before we get into that. If you're doing the tournament, make sure that you're waiting until after the clan versus clan is done if you're like my clan and you're intentionally trying to tank points so you can get down to tier 5 and then get easier matchups for the next CVC, which will be personal rewards CVC. Now, like it or not, this is a strategy that exists inside the game currently, so lots of clans are participating in this, and so you don't want many points being accumulated for the CVC. So we have a tournament going on for the Fire Knight's Castle alongside a Dungeon Divers event, which I'm going to be trying to max, and I'll talk about that as well. And this particular tournament does also coincide with a full 24 hours worth after the CVC of 3x on Savage gear from this dungeon, which is just absolutely fantastic. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the tournament. I'm also going to be showing you my team and talking about some other options if you don't have the particular champions in my team. So first of all, these tournaments where it's specific factions, I've noticed that the tournament brackets themselves tend to be a lot easier, so you can see how quickly the points fall off. So for example, in first place right now is 2,300 points, which usually by now in a tournament like this we would see like 40,000 points, right? Like if we look at the global leaderboard, you're going to see that there's still some pretty crazy stuff out here. So like 10,000 points is still a lot compared to like my bracket, for example, but at the end of the day, a lot of the Krakens are not going to be farming during this because it's faction specific, so they can't rely on their insanely overpowered compositions that can clear these stages in like 5 seconds, and they're used to throwing money at the game, so they aren't willing to spend time on it, essentially, is what it comes down to. So this is the perfect time for some regular players, low spend players, people who aren't remortgaging their house, to play this game and get some potentially good rewards. So you might be able to get in here and snipe some obviously 6-star epic relentless, which would be pretty sweet. But you can already see, like, when we get down to, you know, 9th place, you're already down to 147 points, right? So if I score over 147 points at this stage, I'm going to be higher up than that particular player. Now, this is very much subject to change because obviously a lot of people are going to be waiting for the CVC to finish. But if we look at the right-hand side, this is fantastic. So we have 100 of these crowns. I forget what the currency is called this time around, but we have 100 of these on, you know, display for earning. We have an ancient shard, we have a mortal soulstone, we have a 3-star chicken, and we have 5 of the big essence as well. Now, this big essence is incredibly hard to get. This is the stuff that's used for purchasing like your 6-star souls inside the market. So if you're trying to get somebody like I don't know, a Sun Wukong, the 6-star or something like that, that's going to be what you need. And the only other way to get it, essentially the Eternal Soul Essence, is by trading in your big Eternal Soul coins, right? Which are very, very hard to come by, especially if you're not beating up the Cursed City on hard and getting through to some of the Fire Knight stages. So all that is to say, this is a very good tournament to be participating in. It has incredible rewards in it, right? In my opinion, at least, these are very, very good rewards. Not to mention, you also have the 3x on Savage. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. If you're on page 1, this is flat out going to be enough to complete the page. Once you finish this tournament, you're going to be straight on to page 2. You're going to get the 1-star soul. Now, for me, I'm already on page 2. I'm at 140 points, so it's going to give me 240, so some Plarium points, and just giving me a huge chunk of this, right? So I'm hoping to at least get the 3-star and maybe push for the 4-star soul for this particular champion. I'm not too worried about the 5-star soul because I don't really see myself using him. But even the rewards that I get along the track, right? So if I get a 4-star soul, that's perfect. I'm also getting an Immortal Soulstone. I'm getting extracts. I'm getting a Void Shard. I'm getting skill tomes, right? Legendary skill tomes, epic skill tomes, energy. There's so many things that you need for your account, right? So there's so many good rewards in there. And on top of that, I would actually recommend most players, if you're able, to go ahead and max out this particular Dungeon Divers. Why is that? Well, first of all, we have 60 more Titan points in here that are available for earning. So obviously getting towards the higher Soul Awakening for that is very good regardless. Because, one, if you're a new player, you may actually end up using this guy on your account. And two, if you're not a new player in your late game account, it's still going to be nice to have a champion with a high awakening that you can throw in if you're trying to farm City of Centranos. There's Faction Wars Hard coming out. We don't know where these champions are going to be useful, and Plarium loves to release champions that look kind of meh, and then make them super strong later, right? So just something to consider. They've still yet to do that with Shayak, by the way. We're waiting on some hounds to join him, but you have Primal Quartz in here as well, and these point requirements are, all things considered, fairly fair, I would say. You have this gold chest, which can drop you anything from a 4-star chicken to some gems to an epic book, right? But then you also have this platinum chest, which gives you basically a guaranteed chaos ore, a 5 or 6-star rarity, or a core hammer. But then where it gets really juicy is this diamond chest that can just straight up give you an eternal soulstone, between 1 to 3 immortal soulstones, a feast, an XP barrel, 20 soul essence. Like, worst case scenario, you pull this, worst case scenario, you're getting an epic skill tome, or you're getting a 6-star legendary chaos ore. Those are the worst case scenarios, and those are still both very useful things for me on my account. Best case scenario, you pull yourself an eternal soulstone, you pull yourself a feast, right? You pull yourself 3 immortal soulstones. This chest is definitely worth getting, in my opinion. Now, all that being said, that is the why, essentially. Here is the how. So this is the team that I'm using for my particular run. It's going to be inside hard mode stage 6, and I'm completing it in roughly 5 minutes or so. If you're doing normal, I'll go ahead and talk about some of the options because we kind of have them listed here. So if you're doing normal mode, Deacon Armstrong is very strong because he's going to be bringing in turn meter control. You can also bring in somebody like a Phoenix to absolutely smack down the boss once you have his shield down. You have somebody like a Mordecai who also has some turn meter control there. Obviously, if you have Valkyrie, she's going to be very strong for turn meter control on the A1 as well as counterattack and all those sorts of things. Lysandra, she can pretty much just turn meter control it on her own. If you were lucky enough to have done the Armand's on fusion, he is going to be fantastic for this as well. There's so many good options that you can run inside this dungeon, so you're certainly not short of it, especially, like I say, on the normal mode. For hard mode, this is the team that I came up with, which I think is almost 100% free-to-play friendly. So obviously we have Yakarl, who you're guaranteed to get. You can get him through the clan shop. We have Farrakhan the Fat, which most players are going to have by now, right? He's an epic that's been in the game forever. We have Apothecary, which, you know, if you don't have Apothecary by now, I definitely feel bad for you. But you'll definitely get him if you don't have him. We have, obviously, Cardiel is going to be one of the harder ones to replace. And then we have Neldor. So replacements for Cardiel, simplest one is just going to be another Farrakhan. You could also do a Valkyrie if you're doing a slower team to bring that counterattack and that shield. Anybody who can enable multiple hits on your particular team. So that would be any sort of counterattacker. Somebody that has a lot of, you know, hits on the A1. Even like an Inquisitor with his A2 opening up could be enough to potentially break down that shield. Just make sure that you have enough to break the shield, which is going to be 18 ticks on stage 6 hard mode that I'm doing currently. Now, Neldor is very hard to replace as well because he's one of the only champions from this selection that's bringing a freeze, and freezes are absolutely crucial to controlling the turn meter of the boss. So if we go ahead and if we filter this additionally, so if we take a look at our freeze options, right, we have Lady Noelle, who has the freeze on her A3 on a 3-turn cooldown. So, you know, one freeze on a 3-turn cooldown is definitely not the best. And then the other option we have is going to be Tatura, who has the freeze on his passive, which isn't going to work because obviously if you're getting hit, the shield's going up. Doesn't really matter if you're trying to freeze. So essentially, if you don't have Neldor and Yakarl, you're probably not going to be able to do hard mode Fire Knight, and this is one of the big restricting factors that really stops like a lot of people from being able to do this. You know, even the Krakens, right? So definitely something to consider there. When it comes to decreased turn meter, so this is the stuff that you're going to want to run, obviously, for normal Fire Knight. These are all the champions that we have, so I'll go ahead and move myself here so you can actually take a look at that. There's a lot of champions here that are potential options for decreased turn meter, many of which most players are going to have. So finally, let's go ahead and take a look at the team setup because this is quite important. So most notably, round 3, Farrakhan needs his A2 turned off. If you have multiple Farrakhans, make sure the A2 is turned off on all of them if you're doing this on hard mode Fire Knight, because if they're stacking up other debuffs, there will come a time where they're not able to place the freeze, which means your turn meter control is just going to stop. Neldor, is set up like so. You can also see the stats on the right hand side there if you're curious about how they're built. So Neldor is set up as so. We have Cardiel set up as so, and I'll also show you like the waves beforehand, just so you can get an idea of how they're set up here. And this run, I think I mentioned, is going to be around 5 minutes or so. Yakarl is just doing whatever the hell he wants, and then Apothecary is doing basically whatever the hell he wants as well. We'll set him to open and then not use this, I think. There we go. That should be perfect. So this run takes about 5 minutes. It's 100% consistent on stage 6 of hard mode Fire Knight. If you're doing hard 10, good luck. You're definitely going to need like a Valkyrie or something like that. I did try to run it earlier. Even with, you know, a bunch of multi-hitter A1s and 2 ally attackers, it was not enough to get the shield down and keep it down. We got it down, got the decreased speed on him, and then he took a turn and essentially just wiped our team. So I haven't been able to beat stage 10 yet with these particular faction restrictions, but I'm sure, you know, some people out there are. If you are beating stage 10, definitely let me know down inside the comments. I'd love to hear about it. That being said, though, I hope this video was helpful to motivate you guys to get through this tournament as well as this Dungeon Divers event. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.